Hello, everybody. It's Larry the GM, and we have a special edition. We are going to break down the Framber Valdez blow up last night, and I hope that we get a few folks in here to discuss this with me. Really was troubling for me, and I really was like, what am I watching? What's happening? So I'm going to go step by step through it. I want to address some of the misconceptions that I've heard out there, but I do want to address really before we're done. I hope maybe we can say like, look, what really happened here, and who. I mean, if we want to frame it as who's at fault, we can do that. But we're going to go through this step by step. We're going to take a few minutes and let's talk about what really happened last night with Robert Valdez. So join me on this journey, and folks that are joining in later, please like the video, please subscribe to the channel, guys. I'm going to try to do things like this video, which is kind of a reverse from what I normally do. I've sometimes done videos based on an article on the site. Today we're going to basically do a video and have the content on the site feed the video. Okay, so I asked you guys, please join in and please like the channel, please subscribe to the channel, please join the website, please become a premium and a moneymaker member on the site. So with all that said, let's break down Framber's blow up, what happened, and if you're here on the YouTube side, please let me know you're here, and let's talk about it. So first, let's talk about Framber Valdez and how his pitch mix. There's some interesting things going on with his pitch mix, and these were evident last night. Basically, Framber went from a pitcher that was not afraid to throw a slider, threw the slider about 8.7% of the time, threw it both the righties and the lefties, and he's thrown the cutter 3.4% of the time. Those pitches, he's got the slider down to 5%. Didn't throw a single slider last night, as best I could tell. Did not throw a slider in the fifth inning. That's for sure. When I went back and looked at the baseball savant table, I didn't see a single slider at 83. And I did see sliders in the previous start, just a few, but it's interesting. No sliders at all. And we can see from this data, well, Larry, why would we want him to throw sliders when that's being hit at an xwOBA of 384? Like, what happened to his slider? Hey, Caleb, what happened to his slider that was 237 xwOBA last year? Now it's a 384 pitch. And we are throwing a lot of sinkers, 51% sinkers that are a 369 xwOBA pitch. Now, guys, I'm just setting the stage for what's going to happen in this fifth inning. Okay, we have a curveball that is, as we know, Framber Valdez has one of the best curveballs in the major leagues. We have a changeup that's very effective as a secondary pitch, throwing 15% of the time. I would argue, based on this distribution of pitches, that we should be throwing more of the secondary pitches and fewer sinkers. Okay, that's just general status. And I also want to know what happened to the slider. Where does it go? Where did it go? And why is it not effective this year? And are we working on getting the slider back? If I were able to actually interview Astros officials, these are the kinds of questions I would ask, and I would say, look, you're throwing the slider significantly less in the middle of a game that Framber is struggling. He didn't throw a single slider, where there's batters that legitimately should have thrown a slider to, and I'll get to that. I'll show you that. All right, let's talk about, so this is the table that the moneymakers see every day. What I've done here for this table is I have included data from 23 and 24. This is a combined hybrid day table. This is where I'm going with the moneymaker data, but I haven't done it yet. for everybody. We're still using 23 data. But you'll see that this is the data for just the lefties. And then this table, unique to this table, everything is based on what's good for the Astros. So red is good. Even for the batters, the low numbers on the bottom are going to be good because I'm saying what should the Astros have done in the fifth inning. Now you'll see some data over here in the purple. This is data where there's a little bit of a data size issue, and I'll show you why. Now this is Framber Valdez lefty versus some of these batters. Now for several of the Angels batters, and we've talked about this on the premium series preview, and I've mentioned this to the moneymakers. We do not have enough data for some of these batters. You see only 79 pitches, 94 pitches, 76 pitches, even 169 is not good. 123 is not good. Those are total pitches. And so some of these other players I've had, had to we don't want to just look at Angels data. We have to look at like Kevin Pillar didn't play for the Angels last year. So we're going to pull the data from beyond. All right. So that's what that means. But one of the things to see here is that the Angels batters down here are generally good fastball type hitters. And we'll break it down actually by pitch type. The actual pitch. This is by pitch type that I do on a daily basis for the moneymakers. And one of the reasons I don't go below that is because of the data issue sample size issue that we'll be talking about. Okay. What happened? I'm going to go ahead and put this in a bigger table. Now, one of the things I've done here is I went through this in detail as I watched the playback today. And so this timing is the time into the broadcast, which I think is basically going to be, you subtract 12 minutes from this and you'll be the actual game time into the game, because the first pitch was at 7:12. Okay, so this is the broadcast time on the replay. Okay, so this is the number of pitches Framber had at the beginning of the fifth inning. This is the time after when I think it's reasonable to say they should have called to the bullpen and tried to get somebody warming up. Now, guys, one of the things I'd like to hear as we go through this is, do you agree that even in hindsight, was that the fair point to be calling the bullpen? All right, so because we're going to remember there was actually 2 outs when a lot of this damage occurred. All right, so first up, Willie Calhoun, left-handed batter. There's 56 pitches. And what we have in this section is I've gone through the analysis, basically the previous chart, and I actually went by the pitch-by-pitch data, and I said, what is, of all the pitches that Framber has thrown, what is the most effective pitch for him to be throwing to that batter? That's this pitch. That's what's in column here. Let me take this down for just a second. And we're going to use this just so you guys understand the scale here, and we'll come back to this in a minute. This is xwOBA data, so data that's going to be shaded that maroon red. That's going to be really good for Framber. That means his xwOBA is less than 200. Bright red from 200 to 250, pink 250 to 300, white or gray 300 to 350. Then we start getting into the bad xwOBA type matchup pitches for Framber. 350 to 400, 400 to 450 blue, and green is absolutely horrible. We should never be throwing that pitch. It's greater than the 450 xwOBA pitch. And part of the reason I did this is I want you to see the choices we made. But this is a table, basically just same scale that we normally use on the website. Red is good, blue is bad, and in this case, green is horrible. Okay. All right. So let's go back to this table. So these are the pitches we should have been using. Framber should have been focusing on. Now, Obviously, we can throw a fastball out of the zone, and as far as if it's far enough out of the zone, that batter's not going to hit it. But if he swings at it, he can get out, right? But so the best pitch to Willie Calhoun is that slider. That slider that I showed you in the previous table, that Framber is down to less than 5%, and it's been a terrible pitch for him this year. And like, I don't, what happened to the great slider he had, and why did he not pitch it at all last night? The better pitch, or second best pitch, would have been the sinker. Okay, for Zach Neto, the best pitch would have been a changeup, and you can see. I'm not going to go through all these, but you can see it. All right, so these are just the table here is like the gold, the silver, and the bronze pitches for Framber to be pitching to these guys. To focus on the out pitch, the pitch of action. You know, we want to, if we get ahead in the count, we want to waste by throwing, a pitch. You know, we want to go with a change up to Willie Calhoun outside the zone and see if he swings at it. That's fine. But these are the pitches we should have been focused for as to get the out. If we had to throw a strike, it should have been a slider. Alternatively, it should have been a sinker. Here's what they did. All right. So the first time up, Willie Calhoun went with a curve, not on this list, but a curve is an okay pitch, a sinker, and then another curve. So that curve, the table here is telling you that curve by my data wasn't that bad. The problem is, well, I'll get to that in a minute. So the result was a single. So from Framber's perspective, this is actually, I'm sorry, hang on with me. Sorry, give me some grace here, guys. This data over here is the batter's ability to hit that pitch. So you see that Willie Calhoun's not a great curveball hitter, and terrible sinker pitcher, which is what this shows. He's not a great curveball hitter, but the data set here is really, really limited. Oh, I'm sorry, no, I take that back. This is actually Framber. So Framber's a great curveball pitcher. In this case, it would have been a better pitch. Oh, this is actually matchup data. Okay, sorry, I got it. Calhoun versus Framber's curveball should have been a red. It should have been a good situation. Sinker was even better. Curveball should have been good. The problem is over here. This is the data where I show you the actual. This is the action pitch, the curveball. The pitcher is a 232 xwOBA. That's a really good pitch, right? There's no data, or there's very limited data for Willie Calhoun versus a curveball. So why were we pitching that when we had the sinker we could have gone to? Down here, when Willie Calhoun comes back up, you notice that we do still think sinkers and we get them out. Well, what are we doing? What are we doing? Why did we deviate that? It gets worse. All right, Zach Neto, the changeup was the best pitch to be throwing. They threw a sinker to Zach Neto. That Zach Neto has a 763 xwOBA, 700. It's green. It's a terrible pitch to be throwing to Zach Neto. Now, that pitch, as we showed above, is a 389 for Framber. That's not a good pitch for him to be throwing in this situation. And it ends up that this becomes a walk. They were probably lucky that Zach Neto only got a walk out of throwing 4 sinkers to him, which are pitches he mashes. Why were we throwing sinkers to Zach Neto? Obviously, we weren't throwing them for strikes. What are we doing? We're like pitching around Zach Neto when we already got a guy on first, and we works us for a walk. Then now, let me highlight to you this. This is where I get a little pissed off when I'm watching the video of this. Framber is all smiles to this entire at bat with Kyron Paris. Now, to be fair, he's confident. He's like, I got it. Don't worry, I got it. I'm up 6-1. I'm in good shape. I can throw a curve. I can throw a changeup. I can throw a sinker. All the pitches that Framber is going to throw, the three pitches he's throwing, he has all of them available to him. That sinker is a neutral matchup with Kylan Bears. He throws four of those. Then he throws the changeup. That's a great pitch. This is the best pitch, one of the best pitching sequences in this fifth inning. And he's all smiles and he's laughing because he strikes out Kylan Bears. All right. He's all confident, all excited. You watch this video, guys. I'm not overstating this. This is what happens. Then Shonel comes up. He has the ability to throw a slider, which is a good pitch, a sinker, which is an okay pitch. Those are his. His sinker is a core pitch. He's for some reason abandoned the slider. Okay. He decides to throw a changeup after shaking off Yainer Diaz 3 times in this at bat. Yainer's saying, "Okay, let's throw the sinker. Okay, well, hey, let's try a slider then. Okay, let's try a curveball then. No, let's throw the stinking changeup. All right. There's no data to know whether that's a good pitch to throw to Sean Leonard. I think Framber's after he's sky high after this at bat with Paris, he's like, I can throw anything to these bums. I'm just gonna, you know what? I know there's no data for throwing Nolan a changeup because he hasn't seen many changeups from a lefty. Because he's a lefty, he hardly ever bats versus lefties. But I'm going to throw him my changeup. I'm so confident in this pitch. All right. Well, that changeup is 295. That's not a bad pitch for him, but there's no data of what Shonel can do with a changeup. And he hits a home run. Now, to be fair, I want you guys to see this. It was hit at 95.7 miles per hour. That's not a terribly hard hit. I mean, technically by hard hit standards, that qualifies above 95 miles an hour. But that had a expected batting average of 210 on it. It was should have been most innings it would have been caught. All right, we're giving up the home run. Yainer's like, he's not happy with himself. He knew that he screwed up throwing that changeup, and he knew he screwed up by shaking off Yainer Diaz 3 times. So then Rengifo comes up. Now, against Rengifo, his best pitch would have been the slider. Remember, we're not throwing the slider. How many times have I said the best pitch to throw to this guy would have been a slider? We're not throwing the slider throughout this entire inning, throughout this entire start. We're not throwing any sliders. I don't know why. I know that he's very limited in the number of sliders, but why not at least work it in as a threat pitch? We're not throwing any sliders. All right. Well, then the best pitch would have been a cutter. Well, wait a minute. I barely even talked about cutters. Cutters a pitch that he's definitely not throwing. All right. Well, it's been in his repertoire in the past. We're not throwing any cutters. All right, Larry. Why did you even bring it up? We're not throwing any cutters. All right. So then the pitch would have been curveball. Well, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to throw a changeup. Why did we choose to throw a changeup when we got these other pitches we could have been throwing? I don't know. But Framber, for some reason last night, decided he wanted to look at this. His action pitches through this whole sequence: changeup, 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 changeup. He goes changeup here and sinker here. All right. So he's using and changeup. He's using the changeup over and over on the action pitch. Now, the changeup versus Rengifo is not a terrible matchup. It's a neutral matchup. That's what this means. Rengifo is a 329 hitter versus that changeup. So that's not a terrible matchup. It's like, well, why are we deviating from the plan? Why are we not using your lockdown curveball and get these guys out? Well, to be fair, he gets Rengifo out. Okay, now, guys, I want you to understand there's 2 outs at this point. Yes, he's given up the first home run, but there's 2 outs. If you're with me in the chat, do you think that the Astros should have already called for the bullpen. The game is 6-4. Framber Valdez just pitched his 73rd pitch. 6-4, fifth inning, 74th pitch, 2 outs. Ace on the mound. I don't think so. Not yet. All right. We are 1 minute and 30, 1 hour and 30 minutes into the game. Ward steps in and gets his first pitch at 1 hour, 30 minutes, and 26 seconds. Ward gets the 73rd pitch, and he gets 7 pitches. The best pitch for Ward would have been the cutter that we've abandoned. Then it would have been the slider that we've abandoned. And then it's the curveball. All right. Well, instead, we decide to throw sinker. Then we go to the curve. Then we pull the changeup back. This changeup blue means it's a terrible, remember the table, the terrible matchup. We go curve, changeup, sinker. Why is it a terrible matchup? Because Ward hits changeups well. He hits the sinker well. He hits the sinker at 467. We got Framber Valdez's sinker, which hasn't been great this year. Ward kills the sinker, and we're going to that as the action pitch, not the curve, not surprise. It's a slider. We're not going to try anything else. We're just going to continue to go change-ups and sinkers into the abyss. I don't understand it. Notice what happens here. It's a single. It's a hard hit single, 100 miles per hour, 860 expected batting average. I agree with you, Caleb. I would not have gotten the bullpen going until this guy, until after Ward. I would have been calling the bullpen between Ward and Pilar. Okay? There's 2 outs. Framber now is at 80 pitches. I think this is still an overreaction. I think it's fair to say the Astros don't call the bullpen, but I think after Ward hits that pitch 100 miles an hour and with an 860, it's probably fair to say, hey, let's at least get Martinez up and get him going. All right. So I said 5 seconds before the next batter is when the phone call is completed in the bullpen. I don't think that really happened last night. I can't tell from the video when Martinez gets up. I know he's up by the time Willie Calhoun bats at the end, but I'm not sure when. But I want you to notice how fast things happen after Ward's at bat. Okay, Ward's at bat, 7 pitches. Pilar, 1 pitch. Okay, the best pitch would have been the slider. We're not throwing the slider. I don't know why we're not even going to try it. We got guys all on here. We're not going to try anything. Pilar hits a single, and so the second best pitch is a changeup. Now, so to be fair to the Valdez and to Diaz, they actually went to a pitch that was a challenge pitch for Pilar. He got, sometimes the batters win, right? So here we are. So that was a 295. So what's interesting, Caleb, it says in the play-by-play that there was a mound visit, but I can't see it on the video. I don't know if that's a Diaz mound visit. Diaz does kind of encourage him somewhere in here. He does a mini mound visit. I mean, he's basically returning the ball, and he said, get your head in the game. So we got a 295, 265. That's a pretty good matchup for the Astros. Pilar wins the matchup. Now we got a runner first and second. And after the Pilar at bat, Miller comes out. All right. So like Miller's, if they had called the bullpen, Miller probably is trying to get the bullpen ready to go. I'm thinking that's when they called the bullpen after 2 hits, but they're trying. They try to calm him down or try to get him focused, and immediately they come off. All right, so one pitch to Pilar, he gets a hit, runner on first and second. 81st pitch. Now, this is 1 minute and 27 seconds after I said my early call to the bullpen. Now, guys, it takes about 5 minutes. And that's if you're pushing your relief pitcher to get ready. And it's like, it's a crisis. Go get ready. It's still 6-4 when they're out there on the mound with the mound visit. I'm sure Miller leaves the mound thinking, okay, yeah, we're gonna do this. We got Logan Hope up there, and Framber's got it figured out. He's confident he can get him out. Again, the best pitch is the cutter. We're not throwing the cutter. The best pitch for a Hope, second best pitch is the changeup. We're not throwing the changeup. Like, what? So did the mound visit say, I don't know, that changeup's not working. Let's abandon the changeup. Maybe. Let's go to the curveball. Well, guys, Logan Hope is a 535 xwOBA hitter versus lefty curveballs. Yes, that's a good pitch for Framber, but that's a great pitch for Logan Hope. What are we doing? What are we doing? Why didn't we go to the changeup? Why don't we try to put something on the edge of the zone or out of the zone, see if he chases? These pitches, guys, you can see it from the play by a lot of these pitches are grooved. They're easy pitches to hit. Well, relative to all pitches in baseball, guys, just to be clear. All right. So now they've scored the 7 runs. All of a sudden, the smiles are gone. You blew it. And Framber knows that he's blown it. He knows that he shook off Diaz. He knows that he's gone outside of the game plan, which would have been focused on pitches of this side. And he knows that he's grooved pitches over the plate. So Joe Adell comes up. Now, guys, Joe Adell is absolutely horrible at hitting changeups. But we've given up on the changeup at this point, apparently. We're force-feeding changeups up here to the batters that we shouldn't be throwing changeups to. Now we get down here to the batters we should be throwing changeups to, and we've abandoned the changeup. They're clearly, the Astros are just trying to get Framber out of the 5th inning. And what happens when Joe Adell steps into play is that you may be thinking as an Astro fan, pull him. It's only been 2 minutes and 14 seconds since I said that I hung up the phone with the bullpen. That's not enough. I'm not even sure the relief pitcher's gotten 2 pitches in. He's probably just finished stretching. There's no way that he's got the pitcher is ready to go. So the pitch to go to Adell is the changeup. We throw a sinker. Joe Adell is really good at hitting one pitch, guys. The sinker. The dude hits sinkers at not 0.1058, 1.058. Remember, average is 319. We this is like batting practice for Joe Adell. We throw him what Framber Valdez has a very mediocre sinker at this point this year, and Joe Adell does what Joe Adell is going to do to mediocre sinkers. It's a home run. Shocker! It was hit at 109. Like Logan Hope was hit at 109. Joe Adell was hit at 105.6. These are 990 and 940 after the 930 Pilar hit. Now, you as an Astros fan are probably livid and pissed that Framber's still in the game. But guys, it's before the Willie Calhoun's first pitch after all this. It's still only 2 minutes and 57 seconds since the pitch, since the bullpen was called. You can say, well, Diaz should go out and delay, or somebody should calm Framber down and see if they can delay long enough for the coach has already been out. He came out here after Pilar. Yes, all those things, maybe Diaz should have come back out. But if I'm Diaz, I'm pissed because I've been shaken off. We're not following the game plan for any of these batters. Like, what the hell are we doing? Willie Calhoun comes up, and as I told you with the first Calhoun pitch, first Calhoun at bat, the pitches to throw Calhoun are slider, but we're not throwing sliders. Second best pitch is sinker. It's a great pitch for him. We're just going to roll out throwing sinkers. And Willie Calhoun is terrible at hitting left-handed sinkers. He's a left-handed batter, and he grounds out. That's the inning. It was all over in 3 minutes and 29 seconds from the second I said I would have hung up the phone with the bullpen. And I'm not sure that would have been like, get Martinez going and get him going fast. I mean, I might have called the second time after the Logan Hope home run. It's like, immediately, fast as he can, get it as ready as he can get him. But guys, there's no time for somebody to get. There's no time for Martinez or anybody to be ready from the point you would have said you would have gotten them ready. Be fair. All right, so that's the play-by-play of it. And if you want the videos, you can see the videos. Here's my problem. This is another way of looking at it. The same thing. We're gonna talk really about like pitches here. Willie Calhoun, we threw the action pitch was the curve. Willie Calhoun has seen three pitches from a left-handed pitcher, three curveball pitches from a left-handed pitcher. The team has no idea how well Willie Calhoun can hit a left-handed curve. There's only been three in the last 2 years. Sinker, 37. Zach Neto terrorizes sinkers. That's the action pitch we use. Changeup, shocker, we go to a good pitch, we get the guy out. Changeup to Nolan Shunnell. He's only seen four. Nolan Shunnell sees four changeups from left-handed pitchers. We don't know. We're so overconfident. We're just gonna throw whatever we want. Rengifo changeup, 329, large database of pitches. Ward sinker, terrible pitch, lots of data. Well, I don't know why we're throwing sinkers in that situation. Pilar, probably the second best choice. Well, maybe the second or third. Paris, Pilar, and the second Calhoun at bat. We're actually going to pitches that make sense. Logan Hope, curve. Terrible pitch, terrible choice. Joe Adele. Given the situation, if this is the pitch Framber Valdez actually demanded to be thrown at this situation, I am screaming at him in my office. What the hell? Why did we throw Joe Adele a sinker, a pitch that he has an xwOBA over the last 2 years of 105.8? And Joe Adele does not have great stats, guys. This is a pitch that nobody should ever throw Joe Adele from a left-handed pitcher. It makes zero sense. And it went for a home run. And there's enough pitches to know that's a bad situation. Well, there you go, guys. There's the Framber blow up. I could have called it meltdown. That's my take on it. I went through it. So Who's to blame? Well, Framber's already said he's to blame, and I agree with him based on the data here. He's to blame. I do not blame Espada. I mean, unless you wanted Espada to be screaming at Framber in the dugout, maybe he did that in the clubhouse. If I'm Espada or I'm Dana Brown, I'm having a meeting with Framber. Like, what are you doing, shaking off my catcher, when he's implementing the plan and you're going rogue. But as far as I don't know how culpable Diaz is, other than I saw Diaz get shaked off like 5 times, 6 times in this inning. So, you know, Robert, this is one of the conversations I had with people last year. As far as I'm concerned, the ultimate pitch selection, the ultimate, like, who's responsible for that pitch is the pitcher. The pitcher has to have confidence in the pitch he's throwing. And it's bogus to blame the catcher or to give the catcher credit for pitcher success. It's on the pitcher to know what pitch he wants and to throw the pitch. But when you got a pitcher that's deviating from the game plan, yes, we could have intervened with Framber and maybe further down the inning to try to give the bullpen some time to get ready. But there was no time before Hope and before Adele hit their home runs. There just wasn't. It's you're talking about 2 minutes, a minute and a half, 2 minutes after it would have been reasonable to even. And I'm not sure the Astros had even made that call. They may have waited till after the mound visit to say, yeah, we need to get somebody ready. So in that case, it's like seconds until Logan Hope. All right, guys. Any questions? Any thoughts? Let me know. I'll give you guys 30 seconds or so. But let me just say this while we do that. While I wait, please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel. I need more subscribers to the channel. Please come to the website. Become a premium or moneymaker member at the website, and I will try to do more videos like this if you guys like them. All right, guys. Not seeing any feedback, so we will call it off there. Thanks, guys. Have a good night. And let's go, Astros. Let's go win the